Now, we've all heard these stats and still very staggering when you hear them again. Nearly 7,000 people die in the UK by suicide every single year, and 75% of those people are men, some young men, and many of them in our city and on Merseyside. I'm at a place called James's Place. Merseyrail have just kindly donated £10,000 and chosen this incredible place as their charity for 2020. Jane, you're centre manager. What is James's Place?
Well, we are a therapy centre for men who are experiencing a suicidal crisis. So men come to us, either they find out about us through our website or through sort of things like this. They're sent by their GP or they've been to A&E, and they come and they meet with our therapists and work with us to understand how they got into a suicidal crisis and how they can move forward and sort of get their life back, really.
Okay, so James was a real person. He was 21 when he died by suicide.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about his story and his mum as well, who set this up.
Okay, so James was at university in Newcastle, lovely, sort of much loved, handsome, gorgeous young man, and he had like a minor operation and became very distressed because he had sort of distressing thoughts about the outcome of the operation. He did go for help. He went to A&E and he spoke to sort of somebody at a walk-in centre, but they didn't hear how distressed he was, I think, and they didn't hear that what he was experiencing could have gone on to mean that he was going to kill himself. And sadly, that's what he did. He became overwhelmed and he killed himself in the family home in December 2006, just before Christmas. And his parents, Nick and Claire, set up a foundation, a sort of a charity in his name. But I think that Claire always had a vision of a place that James would have been heard and that he could have gone to, where the help that he needed was delivered pretty much straight away. And I think that was always her vision. And it took her 10 years and it took her son rowing across the Atlantic to raise a lot of money. But that's what she set up here.
And that's exactly what it is. You walk into this place and it's so light, it's so comfortable, it's so inviting, it's so friendly. Just going back to James, that that was so instant and kind of such a simple thing has led him to take his own life. Yeah. That's how easy it is, and that's what sometimes you forget it.
And I think that often, talking to people who've been bereaved by suicide and having been sort of around people who've gone on to try to kill themselves and in some cases almost do it, when you boil down to what the issues they're facing on the outside, you think, well, we can sort that out. Or you'll feel better than this in a month's time or in a week's time, sometimes even in an hour's time. To die because of something that you're feeling in the moment, we can do that. We can get you through it. And I think that's what's so difficult is often from the outside. You maybe know that the person's struggling, but you can't imagine that what they're struggling with would lead them to want to kill themselves. I mean, that's why so many of the awareness sort of programs talk about asking directly, and don't be afraid to ask, because it's a good thing to sort of use those words. And I know you're struggling at the moment. Sometimes I've heard that when people are struggling like this, they can think of killing themselves. Are you thinking of doing that? And then you can start that conversation. But I think until relatively recently, the only place that you could go if you had those thoughts would be going into like an A&E setting or going to your GP. And often those settings are quite challenging to go to anyway, but the help that you would then receive may not be meeting your needs. I mean, you talked about how sort of nearly 7,000 people died by suicide. 3/4 of those people are men, so sort of it's coming up for sort of nearly 5,000, 4,800. But of those people, only like 1/4 of those are actually receiving help, specialist help for mental health problems. So suicide isn't always a mental health issue. It's what we see is it's a build-up of stress issue, it's a build-up of social circumstances issues. It's not something that they need a psychiatrist necessarily. Some people do, but most people don't. So we provide a service for men who don't need to see a psychiatrist, don't need a specialist mental health intervention, but they do need a suicide prevention intervention, and that's what we do.
You can build something up in your head, and
Yeah.
we've all been there. I've been there, I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah,
Tom,
yeah.
our camera guy, has been there. He was saying, you build stuff up and you make yourself believe things, and and because you don't talk to someone about those feelings, that can escalate, and James's story shows that can escalate very dramatically and tragically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all done it. I mean, the example that we talked about and that I talk about all the time in therapy is that situation when you see somebody across the road and they don't crack onto you. And if you're feeling all right, you just think, oh, they're busy, or they didn't see me, or I'll give them a call later and say hello. If you're not feeling good about yourself, you start thinking, oh, they don't like me, they've heard something, you know, perhaps they've spoken to somebody else who I think ignored me last week, perhaps there's something going on. You just kind of build stuff up. And if you don't have somebody who can kind of give you a reality check about that, it can become quite overwhelming, those feelings. You can feel very isolated and scared by them. And that is what happened to James. What was happening to him was straightforward, really, but it had just become out of control in his head. He wasn't mad. He was distressed and couldn't problem solve it. And our intervention, and most suicide prevention interventions, are very much about, well, actually, so you're facing legal problems, so we can get help. You get some help for that, and in the meantime, we can give you some support whilst we're waiting for that to happen. But a legal problem isn't something that you need to die because of.
It's literally anything, I suppose. Absolutely everything, and any problem you've got can be solved, and that problem solving begins somewhere like this.
Yeah, but if you've not got anybody to talk to about it, it can feel insurmountable, and it can become so distressing that and often the conversation is the person doesn't necessarily want to be dead, but being dead feels better than what they're feeling here and now. It's almost an escape from a sort of a terrible set of feelings and circumstances.
For anyone watching right now who's maybe got thoughts where they're in distress, what would you say to them about getting in touch with you guys?
I mean, I think for the most part, most mental health problems that you might be experiencing, including those thoughts, there's something that your GP can help with. And if your GP can't help with them, your GP can usually send you or give you information about what else is available. So GPs know about us. So if your GP sort of thinks with you that actually what's happening is a suicidal crisis, your GP will give us a call, or they'll tell you to give us a call, and we'll see you in the next couple of days. We can see people really quickly. And then you'll come in and we'll have a discussion and make sure that we're the right place for you. And if we are, then we'll start the therapy. People can contact us directly. We just ask a few questions. We want to make sure all the time that we're the right place. We get people referred from student health services. We get people referred to us from sort of walk-in centres, from A&E, from local GPs, and then we get people whose family members can call and say, I'm worried about my brother or my dad or my son. And because we do just try and be pretty clear about what we do, we're pretty much always able to see somebody within a couple of days. I mean, we've had referrals yesterday and they're in today to see us.
Well, listen, so far 250 men you've helped and supported and prevented them from taking their own lives, which is just incredible, and that's happening right here in Liverpool. We need to help more men, and we are lucky to have this place in Liverpool, I've got to stress. Anyone can donate, anyone can support.
Yeah, I mean, if you go onto the website, there you can just give us money directly. There's like
Why not?
It's got our bank details and stuff. But one of the amazing things through Merseyrail is that £10,000 was just a kind of a starter. Their staff and will be doing lots of events over the next year, starting in April. But we will be doing things as well. We've got people running in the London Marathon. We're probably going to be doing a big sort of fundraising event on Grand National weekend. We've got some guys called the World Run who are doing 6 marathons in 6 days on 6 continents. Wow. Finishing up with the London Marathon. So that's one of our big fundraisers. I feel that we really have kind of been embraced by Liverpool. But what's so brilliant for me about Merseyrail is that they've made a decision that what they will do will save lives. I think think it is a hard subject. I understand that people find suicide and thinking about getting involved with a suicide prevention charity might feel a bit scary for a big company. Maybe that's, but we need to be here and we need support to stay here. We need to sustain ourselves in Liverpool and we need to be here for the long run.
Well, listen, thank you so much. Thank you to Merseyrail. That's a massive kind of achievement from them this year, especially with what they see every day, and we can all work out what I mean by that. James's Place, it's here in Liverpool. We're lucky to have it. A big thank you to James's mum and dad for bringing it to our city and helping local lads in our area. If you do need help, get in touch with the Samaritans or with James's Place. Jane, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.